Hey, Jason here. I want to talk about Puppet Edge in this series of videos. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how we're trying to expand things across, day 0, day 1, and the day 2 operations that Puppet's been known for. Right now, everybody is having to deal with more complex infrastructure. There are more scenarios, there's more devices, you need more workflows. Things are complex. Automation is key. What we want to do at Puppet is bring to you that one place that you can have a single platform to orchestrate it all. You want to have your server teams, your network teams, the cloud ops, your SREs, everybody should be working together, right? They need to be able to manage all of their tasks and devices together. You need to also, as a team, be able to look at compliance over all of this together. Today, I'm talking more about the specific networking side of things that we're tackling with Puppet Edge and how, with the changes that have come with Puppet Edge, we can now target more of those teams, more of those scenarios, and bring in more workflows all under one place. So let's focus in on day 0, right? So, day 0, teams are planning stuff out. You're trying to figure out what you need, experiment a little, provision that initial infrastructure. This is really when that network management team is going to create routers. They're going to be doing switches, load balancers, whatever they need to meet the architecture requirements. So Puppet Edge is able to help out here by giving access to this centralized inventory where you can see all of the pieces of your infrastructure together and really start taking action and reporting on it in one place. We also take an imperative approach with Puppet Edge Ops and our Playbook Runner and Puppet Bolt. These pieces allow you to do automation and have infrastructure as code so that you have this repeated process without as many manual errors. So, as an example, you could have a task or a workflow that you build out in Puppet Enterprise, and then it could run on your behalf a task to do something like create a router. So you would just have to provide the parameters for what you need, and it can go off and automate that for you. This allows you to centralize the ideas of how you create things and follow your organization policies. Alrighty, let's take a look at day 1. At this point, we are trying to get the environment up and ready to go live. So this means locking it down. We've got our security policies to get in there. We need to make sure all the admins have access. Firewalls have to have all their configuration set. Anything that has to be done to meet the organization's policies to be a secure production environment, that's going to happen at this point. Now, Puppet Edge can help out here with the networking devices by giving you an easy way to manage the configuration on them. With Edge Ops, we can get the information about a device, we can update it using tasks, so you can start centralizing your automation across your entire inventory of networking devices and go apply it across a whole bunch. Like you might have to set up VLANs, for example, and you want all your Cisco routers to be updated at the same time. So you can go and create some kind of task that's going to be able to go through all the routers, configure them with the correct setups. Now, you might also have another example where you have to set up some NTP servers. So you want to have all your servers and all your networking devices all pointing in at the same system. So we can use Puppet in this case to be able to get all of that infrastructure all aligned, configured the same way. Okay, let's move on to day 2. Puppet has always had a strong hand in day 2 operations. This is where you need to have compliance, you're doing scans, you're trying to get audits on your system, you have to do day-to-day remedial tasks, you've got to go and fix up CVEs. A lot of stuff goes into keeping your production environment running. So Puppet Edge is here to be able to help out with the networking side of that. So when you're trying to manage all those network devices, keep all the configurations up to date, and also automate some of those resolutions for CVEs. For example, there have been vulnerabilities where a networking device needs to have its configuration changed. So you need to be able to have a task that goes out and updates all of the routers that have that vulnerability and apply the configuration change that's going to lock things down. This is where Edge Ops can really come in and help play. We can have code assist that helps you build the tasks. We've got the ability for you to run this across all of your groups of inventory because there's that centralized inventory. And then you can start reporting on which ones were impacted because you can go and show to the team, hey, we resolved this issue on all these devices. Here's our proof of that we've done that. We also have the capability with workflows to help teams go in and be able to run common runbooks and tasks without needing to know what's going on under the hood. So you can create as a team during day one, some self-service workflows that have automation for common things like maybe you need to update the ACL policies or add a user onto a device. Maybe you're trying to rotate the SSH keys, something like that. But you can package this up, and now somebody else doesn't need to know about how to do that automation. They just have to provide the parameters, they run it, and away you go. Everything gets done, and it's going done based on your policies and everything that you've codified into that automation. This really allows everything to be tracked, centralized, making sure you're staying compliant, staying secure, and following your best practices. So what might this look like in like a real scenario where something comes in? How does Puppet Edge wind up helping you and your team go from that day zero all the way through to day two stuff? Well, it might start by someone making a request for a new web application environment. They need a dev and a test and production environments built out. So your team has the infrastructure architecture already set up. You know how to do this, but you want to go and build that out. So we start automating this. We could use Puppet Edge tasks for the network devices and some Puppet tasks to be able to do your servers, start provisioning all of these environments, including your firewall, your load balancer, your router, all your servers. You get that all spun up. Now you start taking all of those network devices and you start putting them into your Puppet centralized inventory. This is going to give you that like nice one place where you can come find them, and you can start creating groups whereby every time you want to go and take an action on like everything in prod or all of my firewalls or everything that's a Cisco router, right? You can start creating these groups in your inventory that you can then target with your automation so that you don't have to worry about tens of thousands of servers and tens of thousands of networking devices. And how are you going to run automation on all of these? We can use these kind of node groups to really facilitate that. Now, from this, we've got our inventory defined. We have our devices out there. Now we need to start automating. We need to get the configurations that we have to apply and take our policies and start defining that as code. This is where Puppet Edge's Code Assist could really help, where you could say, I want to manage and enable some NTP servers, or I want to create a VLAN. And the Code Assist can then walk you through the process and work with your agent to create you the task that you need to do to have that. So you can create the automation without needing to know all of the details of how that works, especially with the way every device can be very kind of like different on how the configs could work. This allows you to get there a lot faster. Now, once we have those tasks and we have our groups, we can start executing these tasks across our node groups and start updating them. So we can start applying our NTP servers across the whole bit, or adding all of the particular VLANs that we need on every single device that's in our routers, for example. Once we're happy with the configuration, now this is the part where we need to start transitioning to other teams to start operating. Before we do that, we need to start codifying things into runbooks of like, here's how you go through doing step one, step two, step three. Using workflows for this in Puppet Edge allows you to take some of those common tasks, create the workflow up, and be able to package it. So somebody just needs to know the parameters. And then from there, just has to run it and not have to know about all that automation that you've built under the hood. While you're doing this and packaging up common tasks, you probably also have a lot of existing automation that you might have done in other tools. For example, you might have some Ansible playbooks. These YAML playbook definitions, they kind of represent a lot of known history and knowledge of how to go about automating in your environment. You don't want to lose all that, and you don't want to have to migrate it. Puppet Edge comes with a playbook runner, which allows you to take that existing content and start using it inside of a Puppet environment on this centralized inventory. So you could create a workflow that has a step in it that runs an Ansible playbook. So this is a great way for you to make sure that you can reuse all the stuff and work with the kind of like language and tooling that you like without having to worry about rebuilding everything. So now with everything all set up, the ops team can be operating your infrastructure, running common tasks. You can be making sure things are staying compliant, resolving CVEs, and doing all the common stuff you need to do for ongoing day-to-day. All of this being able to bring your networking devices in along with your servers and having a wider view across the whole estate. So what I want to do in this series of videos is I'm going to dive into each of these and be able to have a little bit of like walkthrough about how we get into the different parts. We want to take a look at Puppet Edge Ops. I want to take a look at how we're using MCP and Code Assist to really help you build these tasks. We're going to take a look at how the Puppet Playbook Runner works. And also, in an upcoming video, we are going to take a look at the workflows. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to that channel, and I will see you soon.